Hi everyone, welcome to the third edition of International E-commerce Day. I'm Irina, I'll be your host for the next hour. I'm really excited to be here with all of you. We have a great lineup today. This is the third edition of International E-commerce Day. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, but not to forget about our partners GetResponse for their support. I want to tell you that we have a chat session, and we have a chat here, and you'll have a QA session at the end of each talk. So remember to ask your questions there. Also, if you share any insight or screenshot on any social media, there will be a prize of an Omniconvert account worth $9,000. We'll announce the winner on our Facebook page tomorrow. Now it's my pleasure to invite Paul Rouke. He's the CEO and founder of PRWD. He is a conversion rate optimization consultant with 15 years experience, also a keynote speaker, and he's going to talk about what every conversion strategy is missing. He'll share real-life case studies from international brands and his biggest learnings and advice for e-commerce growth. With that in mind, Paul, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, thanks very much for the introduction and for inviting me back as well. Much appreciated.
Our pleasure. So I'll let you do it.
Great, thank you very much. So yeah, first of all, thank you very much everyone for joining for this first session of International E-commerce Day. It's a real privilege to be able to be here and kind of share a lot of my kind of learnings and insights over the last 5 years in particular. And I'm going to be sharing with you over the course of this session what is it that every conversion strategy is missing. We've got a breadth of experience, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of what I'm talking about today you'll be able to relate to and that you'll kind of understand from your business. But then hopefully what I'll be doing is giving you techniques and ideas and recommendations for you to be able to bring into your business to help develop and really enhance your conversion optimization strategy. So I mentioned about the last 5 years in conversion optimization. There's been a huge amount of talk. There's a building momentum of conversion optimization. More and more companies are investing in this. More and more agencies are offering conversion optimization as a service. But for me, what I'm seeing of this last 5 years is that there's still a lot of fundamental things wrong with the industry and how businesses are utilizing and investing in conversion optimization. So these are just like probably the key things that I'm kind of seeing time and time again. One is that conversion optimization is misunderstood. It just doesn't gain the kind of value and traction that. Sorry.
Paul, sorry. Did you want to show us the slides? You need to share your screen because I think you got disconnected before. Could you share your screen again?
Okay, yeah.
All right, perfect. Cool.
Is that okay? Is that back on?
Yeah, perfect.
Great. Okay, so yeah, conversion optimization is misunderstood. It's just not given the kind of the value that it deserves within business. And what that leads to is generally conversion optimization amongst many businesses. It's unappreciated. It's just seen as a very, very small part of a business's overall marketing strategy. And then what that leads to is that there's a lack of human investment. And I'm going to be talking a lot more about people and skills and the importance of investing in the people behind conversion optimization. But in the majority of cases, there's a real lack of having the right people on board to drive value for businesses. What that also kind of can often lead on to is that there's just a lack of user research. User research should underpin a conversion optimization strategy. Any company wanting to become customer centric needs to invest in and conduct regular user research, yet it's often one of the biggest missing ingredients for running A/B tests, and something needs to change for businesses that don't value and appreciate user research. And then what that kind of then leads on to is a lack of intelligence, primarily with the intelligence behind the A/B testing and the hypothesis. So without the right inputs, without the right data, without the right research and behavioral understanding, how can we possibly craft really intelligent A/B tests, hypothesis? So all these things kind of can often run back to back and really hold companies back. And then what often is the case as well, there's like a lack of integrity. So companies and agencies might run A/B tests, but there's a real lack of kind of statistical understanding and appreciation, so that the actual results that have been talked about and shared, there's no real integrity behind them, because people have jumped to conclusions too quickly. They've been too presumptuous about the results that the testing tool is sharing. So there can often be a lack of integrity. And then what all that follows on to is often there's a lack of learnings within companies running A/B tests. They're not kind of taking anything from testing. They're not running tests off the back of a concluded test, or they're not taking learnings from a test to apply to another test. So these things all start to kind of add up together. And then what this is kind of leading us to is that so often companies are running A/B tests, and there's a lack of real impact on that kind of commercial metrics for the business. And it goes right back to the first few points, being misunderstood and underappreciated. You can see how all these are so damaging for businesses. If there's no real results coming from this, then it's going to be unappreciated. And then what often happens with companies is there's almost a loss of faith with conversion optimization being a kind of key driver or a key opportunity for their business. So that's kind of a summary of kind of what I've experienced is kind of holding companies back over the last kind of 4 or 5 years. But I wanted to understand whether or not this is just myself, is this just me and the companies that we're kind of speaking to that are experiencing this? So what I decided to do, I went out with this question: why aren't businesses growing through conversion optimization? And I went out to the industry's biggest kind of thought leaders, many of which you'll recognize, a few of which like Talia and David, who are speaking at International E-commerce Day. I asked them all this same question. Now, these people are all really busy. They're speaking, they're flying around the world, they're running agencies, they're writing books. But within 24 hours, many of these people started to come right back to me with their responses. And it wasn't just a one-line response. These were very passionate responses. And it became clear for me that rather than just turning this kind of piece of work into maybe a blog post or a white paper, this needed to be something far more, there's far more value and insight from this. And what I decided to do, I decided to publish a book, which is called A Story of Untapped Potential, the Growth Strategy That's Been Ignored. You can find out much more about the book and the contributors and what you'll learn from reading the book if you go to crogrowthbook.com. But what this book is, this is can be for many companies a kind of wake-up call for senior decision makers as to what not to do with their conversion optimization strategy. And you can buy the book. It's available on Amazon. But you can also get a free download of the book today straight away by just going to this link. So that's kind of the background to the development of this presentation. But what I really wanted to do from here, so there were 17 industry thought leaders published in this book sharing their thoughts. And what became clear as I was looking through all the insights is that there was 4 common themes and 4 core areas that all the contributors, their thoughts were fitting into. And these are actually the 4 pillars of strategic conversion optimization. And through the rest of this talk, I'm going to be sharing with you stories and insights and learnings in each of these 4 pillars. So the 4 pillars are strategy and culture. Number 2, tools and technology. Number 3, people and skills. And number 4, process and methodology. And these are actually the 4 pillars of the Conversion Optimisation Maturity Model that over the last 3 years, myself and the team at PRWD, we've developed in order to assess businesses. And so during the rest of this talk, I'll be touching on some of the different elements of our maturity model and providing you at the end with an opportunity to use and assess your business using this in-depth maturity model to understand where are the opportunities and where are the current weak points for your business in order for you to really start to embrace and grow through conversion optimization. So the first of the 4 pillars is strategy and culture. And in the maturity model, these are the different areas that we look at. And you can see here that this really starts to dig deep within a business, looking at the business mindset. Most businesses have what I would say is a fixed mindset, where there's businesses like Booking.com and Amazon and Walmart and Uber and Airbnb. These are companies that embrace a growth mindset. And that's so important to look at when we're talking about conversion optimization. And then at the bottom there, product-led versus customer-led. Most businesses are at that product-led end of the spectrum. And what I'll be sharing with you is a story of where we helped turn a major retailer from being product-led into really customer-led. So they're the key areas that you'll be able to assess your business against. Just coming back into the insights from the book, talking about strategy and culture, I thought there was no better person to, first of all, ask to contribute to the book, but then secondly, to understand their insights. And this is what Brian Eisenberg shared about what is holding companies back, why aren't businesses growing? And it's just this, it's that it should not be seen as a tactic. It really needs to be embedded within the culture. So I'm going to share with you how we embedded customer centricity and conversion optimization within the kind of culture of a major retailer. And I've mentioned already Amazon in one of the examples, but if you search online for Jeff Bezos quotes, Amazon CEO, you start to really understand the correlation between the person that's running Amazon, Jeff, his real absolute laser sharp focus on customer centricity, and actually how that impacts them in terms of their commercial performance and their dominance of the digital industry. So so Amazon should really be an inspiration. And so what we've done with a business over in the UK, AO.com, this is one of the biggest pure play success stories over the last 5 or 6 years. The AO.com have really disrupted the traditional market, the retail marketplace in the UK. But it wasn't always like that. About 5 years ago, they wanted to look at bringing in some user experience expertise, and they actually approached me to go in and maybe do some training. But what became clear with AO.com when I started to speak to the business and to understand the decision making and the culture is that the people at the top of the business, this chief executive and the C-suite, didn't understand and didn't value the idea of being customer centric, about listening to customers, and about having an experimentation culture. So what we could have done, we could have just done training for the digital team, which is what they were looking for. But what I wanted to do is have a much more significant impact on the culture of AO.com. So what we did, part of the work we did was conduct a big range of user research. And the user research, what we did with the videos, we gave 5 videos each to all the senior decision makers. And we simply asked them, kind of look at these videos. This is people using our website, using our competitor websites. Let us know if you feel that there's any changes that you'd like to make to our online experience. And within watching the first video, these senior decision makers were coming back to the digital team to say, we need to change this. We need to make our images bigger. We need to explain our videos more. We need to promote reviews more prominently, because you could see firsthand the issues that users were having. And it was that kind of wake-up call for AO.com and the decision makers, and what has been gone on to describe as shock tactics, that actually we thought we knew our experience really well and we knew our business really well, but we just weren't thinking of the end customers, and we weren't thinking about their experience and the challenges they had. And this goes back to how many businesses who are running A/B testing and conversion optimization programs do very little in the way of user research and very little in the way of like one-to-one research, which is one of the most in-depth forms. And so the key lesson for AO.com is that to affect their culture, we needed to make the decision makers think and understand from a user's point of view. So without affecting the decision makers, at some stage, AO.com, we would have hit a roadblock with the decision makers. So if we fast forward to today, AO.com are one of the most customer-centric retailers that I've had the privilege of working with over the last 5 years. And then for you, and to kind of take forward some of the key lessons within this strategy and culture section, understanding that customer centricity has to start with user research. Secondly, experimentation should be valued business-wide. This shouldn't just be a digital discipline or a tactic that's done within the marketing team. Many businesses have kind of got silo mentality and siloed working within business. Ultimately, the siloed kind of thinking has got to be destroyed, because without a joined up approach across a business, at some stage you'll be hitting roadblocks and you'll get frustrated, you'll be competing for budget. So ultimately, we've got to work together within the businesses that we're within. And then culture change, particularly becoming customer centric, it needs to start from the top of the business. If you've not got someone like a Jeff Bezos kind of leading the way that really champions customer centricity, and Jeff Bezos should really be the inspiration, then at some stage, your efforts within your companies of the reality of the customer experience and what user behavior is actually what's actually going on from a user's point of view. So that's strategy and culture. Pillar 2, tools and technology. Now this is interesting. In conversion optimization, probably of these 4 pillars, tools and technologies is often the one that's had the most investment, because businesses buying into tools and technology and enterprise level software, that is kind of the norm. That's kind of what companies have done for many, many years. And tools and technology can promise the earth. But as we're going to find out as we go through these next few sections, it's not about just having the best technology and tools. It's about the people and the brains behind them. So when it comes to the maturity model, these are the kind of key areas that we're starting to look at here. So it's about the analytics tool and the configuration and how robust is the analytics tool configuration. What are the voice of customer and behavioral insights tools that companies are using? And then also when it comes down to testing tools, so often companies have a fantastic tool, but they don't have the resources to really get the best out of the tool. And secondly, they don't really have the skill sets to understand how to get the best out of the tool itself and how to use some of the advanced features. And this is something which Craig Sullivan has kind of referred to when in his contribution in the book. His response to this question of what's holding companies back is that there's the Gartner hype cycle for A/B testing, and so many companies are just running A/B tests and they're just not really getting anywhere. There's no learnings and there's no impact, just like I shared right back at the beginning of this. And it's so often because companies have the tools in place, but they've just not got the people and the resources and the skills in order to harness and get the best out of the tool and to run really intelligent A/B tests. So for this, I'm just going to share about Moss Bros. So about 18 months ago, Moss Bros were kind of fitted very much into this category of having a fantastic tool in place, but without the resources and the skills to run a really intelligent optimization program. And what we've since gone on to do with Moss Bros is they've embraced being customer-centric. So we took them through a user-centered redesign, which put users at the very heart of their redesign, which often doesn't happen, particularly when it comes to major e-commerce redesigns. But then what we've also done is we've moved into running an optimization program for them. We're harnessing the testing tool, but we're using a multidisciplinary team to develop the hypothesis and to do the research and to do the data analysis to really drive the value of the testing tool. I'm not sure for those of you listening now whether you can think about your testing tool and some of your other technologies your company has and the percentage of value that you're getting from the tool, and then also like what resources, typically limited resources, you get for tools. And it's a real crying shame because there can be great tools, but it needs the people behind them, and there needs to be a readjustment of where that investment lies within businesses. So tools and technology, the lessons for retailers when it comes to thinking around this tools and technology area is, number one, the most important tool for companies is people's brains. It's more people with a multidisciplinary skill sets. These are the people, it's you that are watching this today within your businesses that are going to drive the real value for your business. It isn't about the enterprise technology. That facilitates testing and facilitates enhanced kind of testing and personalization, but it's got to really start from the people, yourselves included in that. When it comes to experimentation though, when you're actually running great tests, hopefully, sharing experimentation learnings is key. So often, A/B tests are being run and it's just the people involved in the test that are getting an awareness of the results and the impacts and the learning. Experimentation should be shared company-wide because, for instance, you could be running a test on your digital experience that can help inform what you do in your offline marketing campaigns and potentially your outdoor advertising when it comes to messaging and kind of headlines and things like that. So this experimentation and optimization should be a business-wide concern. And then when it comes to Google Analytics or your analytics platform, it should be continually optimized. There's always additional ways you can track more granular level behavior. And I think probably what's held Google Analytics back in terms of the effectiveness of how it's used within businesses is that for most businesses, because it is this free to use tool, they've not allocated the same kind of weight of importance behind it to ensure that it's correctly configured. So most businesses just have the kind of out of the box configuration, maybe with a few enhancements, but every company that we speak to, there's work to be done to get a much more robust analytics configuration. So for yourselves, making sure that you get your Google Analytics in a really strong place so that it's tracking things really effectively. And then going back to the people and skills, it's the expertise of people using the testing platforms that's going to drive the real value of your testing solution. So never underestimate the importance of that. And now I'm going to talk a bit more about the third of the 4 pillars in the Conversion Optimisation Maturity Model, and this is people and skills. And these are the kind of key areas and the key areas of discipline and expertise that we need to be looking at. And I'll be touching on a few of these as we go through the rest of this talk. But for this, I just want to bring in Roger Dooley from the book. And when I asked him this same question, Roger provided some really valuable insights. And this was the kind of title of what he shared, that there's a lack of focus on the customer's non-conscious mind. And obviously this is a whole kind of layer of neuromarketing and behavioral research and behavioral understanding. And it really is the case. There's not many businesses that invest in employing and utilizing a different range of persuasion techniques to help influence user behavior. So to kind of share an insight around this, Shu is a £250 million multi-channel leader in the UK, and we've done a range of work with them over the last 3 or 4 years. One of the things we did, which was a really interesting and really pivotal piece of work with them, was to conduct a maturity audit of their business to understand where they are across these 4 pillars. And what was interesting from Shu is that if we look at strategy and culture, they had a really good mindset. They had the right understanding from the top of the business about the importance of optimization. So they were in a healthy place from a strategic and cultural point of view. From a tools and tech point of view, they had a testing tool in place. They had a big technical team. They had what you would think is a very robust area in tools and tech. But when it came to people and skills, this was really interesting, that from the top of the business, there was a strategic focus on conversion optimization to help grow their business. But when we actually spoke to the people on the ground that were running optimization, at the time when we did the audit, the optimization was being delivered by 2 fairly new kind of graduates. And these graduates were kind of really passionate. They were quick learners. They were a real good asset to the business. But there was no real experience around them. And they were self-teaching JavaScript and jQuery to run tests and to set tests up. When we asked them what support are you getting from a technology, from a development point of view within the business to kind of run and build tests, it was interesting that they said that 1 day a week, they got 1 developer to basically look at and QA some tests. That was the only technical resource they had. So it was just this complete disparity between the business wanting to drive conversion optimization forward, but on the ground, there was just such limited resources. There wasn't really any UX expertise. There was no copywriting. There was no psychology. There was just very, very limited skill sets that were kind of actually the people behind the optimization program. And an interesting thing as well within people and skills, I just want to touch on this. The classic hippo is often seen as something that really holds companies back. It's like the egotism and it's the opinionated decision making that often goes on and can leave people like yourself potentially lower down within an organization, feeling frustrated that you're not listened to and you're not heard. What I've actually done in the last about 18 months ago is I've looked to reinvent the hippo to turn it into a beacon of positivity. And when we're hiring for people within our team and when we're looking at which companies we'd like to work with, we're looking for people with these kind of characteristics. And these are far more inducive and far more influential to helping make conversion optimization work within your business. So kind of looking for these traits, hiring for people with these kind of traits is so important. If you want some more insight around the new reinvented Hippo, you can find it on this article there. And it's probably just worth saying that Adobe have championed the new Hippo as well, which was fantastic to see. And it's going to be interesting to see more and more companies talking about the new reinvented Hippo rather than the traditional ego-driven Hippo within business. So just kind of summarizing the people and skills section in the lesson for retailers, the reinvented Hippo can be transformational. Having more people within your business that are kind of utilizing the humility and integrity and passion, positivity is so important. Psychology and persuasion is your secret weapon. So going back to Roger's comment in the book, this is really still the kind of missing layer within most retail experiences to really think about and utilize psychology and different persuasion techniques. So it is still for yourself a secret weapon. UX designers require a mindset change. In order to embrace experimentation, designers who have so often, up until this point, designed great experiences and then pushed them live, it requires a mindset change for designers to want to work within an experimentation culture and an experimentation team. And it's kind of a really interesting thing to look for within designers of how much egotism do they have versus how much open-mindedness do they have in order to test their ideas out and to see actually their exceptional looking design, is this positively influencing user behavior? So your UX designers, that's what needs to be looked at from there. Developers should seek out the why. This is another really interesting area and discipline. So often, up until A/B testing has come in, and even to date now, most developers working in digital are basically briefed in, they're told what to do, they build it, they go away, they QA it, and it gets pushed live. That's kind of the role of a developer. They execute the designs and execute the work and ideas of other people. Now, developers have got an opportunity, and I really kind of champion this, that developers should be looking to seek out the why. They should be looking to understand, why are you asking me to do this? What is the hypothesis behind it? And a quick example from Booking.com, they have groups of kind of teams in sprints, which have developers, designers, researchers, and project leaders. And they've got to a certain point, and I heard this about 18 months ago from someone at Booking.com, that when the developers were presented with a test to kind of run and implement, because there was no hypothesis behind it, the developer actually pushed back to the project lead and to say, well, no, I want to understand the why behind this test. So it's a really interesting area for any developers that are listening here, or for any developers that you're working with, looking to them to see if they want to understand the why behind what they've been asked to do. Again, it's like a mindset change similar to UX designers, but it's such a healthy thing to do. It really empowers them to understand the purpose behind the development work that they're doing. And finally, behavioral research skills are invaluable. We can never underestimate the importance of utilizing people with research skills and to really help understand the user behavior and motivation. But again, going right back to the beginning, it's so often overlooked and undervalued within an optimization process. So finally, pillar 4, process and methodology. And these are the key areas within the maturity model that need to be looked at in order to develop a really strong and really kind of progressive process and methodology for your optimization. And for this, I'm just going to share what I shared in the book, which is that there's so many companies talking the talk but not walking the walk. And this comes up time and time again. Companies that we speak to, they've been running A/B tests for a year or 2 years, but they've just not really had the impact from this. They say that they're doing great work, but then when you actually look to see what the test results have been, what learnings have they made, it kind of starts to fall apart. There isn't really any substance there. And then also as well, one of the biggest areas where companies talk the talk is about customer centricity. Saying we're customer centric is so easy, yet actually the reality is very, very few businesses are anywhere near like Amazon, which are a true customer centric retailer. So there's still in 2017 and going into 2018, a real big opportunity for retailers to become far more customer centric and not just talk about it, but really become customer centric. So within process and methodology and being underpinned by user research, Skyscanner approached us about 2 years ago And they wanted to develop very quickly a really advanced optimization culture within their business. What was fantastic is that if we look about the 4 pillars of the maturity model, within strategy and culture, they were in a really good place. They were aspiring to be like a booking.com as quickly as possible. So they really kind of wanted to embrace this. It was recognized from the top down of their business. From a tools and tech point of view, they were in a really strong place. They were a technology business. They were hiring developers all the time. And they were actually going to think about developing their own testing platform. So that was a really healthy opportunity for them. And then within people and skills, they were hiring and hoovering up a lot of the talent up in Scotland. So they weren't afraid to invest in a multidisciplinary skill set. But what they didn't have is the process and methodology, because they were starting optimization from the ground up. So they brought us in, we worked with them for 6 months to bring in our methodology for optimization. And they've since gone on to be one of the most progressive and mature businesses, with having an experimentation culture running through the whole business. So I think probably a key lesson from this is that every single business that we meet and speak to, or that I hear about through speaking to other people in the industry, at least one of the 4 pillars, they're missing some of the key ingredients. And so there's not one particular thing, but it's accumulation of different parts that companies are missing. So for yourselves, process and methodology and the key lessons, insight-driven hypothesis rule, there's got to be an intelligence and a why behind the tests that you're running. And that comes from data, and it comes from research, and it comes from experience, and it comes from understanding human behavior. There's got to be an intelligence behind it, or else all we're doing is we're just running tests for the sake of it to see what sticks. Creative collaboration techniques are key. So often what we find when we engage a business and we engage decision makers from different areas of the business, they feel empowered by having this opportunity to kind of share their ideas and experiences to help craft potentially even stronger test ideas. So creative collaboration with people from different areas of the business that wouldn't often or wouldn't normally get asked to feed into a process, it can be really empowering, and it can really enhance the feeling, and it can break down the siloed thinking as well, which I mentioned earlier on. Data and statistics expertise is crucial. There's got to be a validity and an integrity behind the work that we do and the tests that we run. So never underestimating the importance of having the right data analysts and the right people in place. And that kind of leads on to data integrity and the storytelling behind optimization, because this can really help to bring optimization to life, and it can help to communicate to different people across a business what are the key learnings and what's the key impact from conversion optimization. And then finally, the full spectrum of A/B testing, that's what grows businesses. And when I talk about full spectrum, I'm talking about from simple iterative testing all the way through to innovative, and then through to strategic testing. And that's kind of a whole presentation in itself. But the companies that embrace like a far richer array of testing opportunities rather than just simple and basic A/B tests, these are the companies that are going to grow harder and faster than their competitors. So to kind of summarize, what is every conversion strategy missing? As I mentioned, it's not one specific thing, but it's at least one of the different elements of the 4 pillars of the conversion optimization maturity model. And for yourself in your business to be able to understand where are the biggest opportunities for your business across all these different areas, we developed an online maturity model and a maturity audit, which takes about 15 minutes to complete. And for any of you that would like to go away and do an audit of your business, but then secondly, if you'd like to understand the maturity model in more detail than what I've been able to share today, then please send us a message either through social media or through the platform today, and we'll send you the kind of detailed description of the maturity model so you can start to build a plan for your business to help embrace optimization much more within your business. So that is the end of my talk, and thank you very much for everyone listening, and I look forward to being able to answer your questions in the follow-up.
Thank you so much, Paul. It was an awesome talk. I think you touched on a very interesting topic there on the changing the mindset of UX designers, and especially like e-commerce and retailers. That's where it all begins. So thank you so much. It was full of insights.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been, again, a pleasure kind of sharing my experiences.
Do we have any questions, guys? You want while Paul is still here for 4 more minutes, is there anything else that you would like to pick his mind with? That's a first.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll be waiting for a couple more minutes for more questions. After this talk is done, we'll have a 10 minutes recess, after which we'll return with Alexandra Tachalova talking about content, traffic, and leads.
Yeah,
cool.
Great.
Thank you so much, Paul. Have a great rest of the day. See you soon.
Yeah. Hope the conference goes really well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.